Hello? Yes, it's working. Hello!
So this is our first week doing priority weeks, and this week we done political speeches. So to begin, we had to find different forms of speeches. So we had political speech, socio-political, protest speech, rally speech, an informative speech, a protest song, and a political performance poetry. So we went away and we researched like definitions and whether certain speeches classed as political speeches or whether they didn't and they were in their own section. So for research, what did you get?
So to start off with, what is a political speech? And I've got an expression which comments on government actions rather than the private conduct of an individual.
And then with that,
it comes a lot of like, there's a lot of, it's a bracket, isn't it? You can't talk about an individual, it has to comment on a group.
yeah.
So that's the main point I took for it. It has to talk about.
It can't be a personal
Yeah, it
matter.
can't. Yeah, like if I was to say Donald Trump's an idiot, that's private conduct of an individual. So if I said Donald Trump's an idiot because of his home life, that's his private conduct as an individual.
But how he acts as the president.
How he acts as president to affect other people. Yeah, is how you'd class political speech. It can't directly target people. Sort of that's like the main sort of. Was it the main discussion on confusion? That's how we started. It was very confusing to start off with because to classify one and to classify another.
Mm-hmm.
Like we looked at Russell Howard and like his sort of.
Comedy. Russell Howard's
like Good News, and how he comments.
And
how he comments on the person, and then how he
does it in a comedic sense. So and to his audience, it makes news more interesting and more engaging to like a younger viewership that wouldn't necessarily watch so much political
news. Where he sometimes comments on the person, and that's not being political. But when he talks about a group of persons, so we were sort of differentiating the different parts of what he's sort of done.
Yeah. I was going to say political speeches. When we were researching it, very much led on to freedom of expression. Freedom of expression came up a lot. So the definition for freedom of expression is freedom to communicate ideas without restraint, whether it orally or in print or by other means of communication. So that's like
it's like the First Amendment.
For like other ways of imprinting, like magazines, newspapers, how you're getting your freedom of expression across, how you're expressing your thoughts across, or like a group's thoughts through the media, which especially I think in today's day and age,
you sort of need it, don't you?
We use more than just like talking to give out information or to share information about our views. And people do it every day through like Facebook, Twitter.
Twitter's a huge
Instagram,
one.
like what our views are, which necessarily weren't so much in demand in previous eras, I think. That's another thing that we got to do.
And social political, that was a bit of a controversial, because they all sort of interlace with each other.
We discovered that political speech is very much an umbrella term, which I thought to begin with it stood on its own, but it's not. It is an umbrella term, which we got from it.
Because with social political, you can comment on the private conduct of private conduct of people. You can't. That makes it a political speech, like at home lives. Where you can't comment on an individual's life. I think that's where a lot of it sort of.
It's without making it personal. I believe. I think.
It's like social, politically speaking, sort of in them terms. That was. It was me trying to get my head around it. Because you see a lot of people commenting on how people should live, and then that come across as it being a political speech because you're talking about people how they should live.
Well, yes. What we got is addressing a social view in a political manner. So still talking about things that does affect people, but being the delivery in which you say it is a professional in a political way. So for me, it stimulated like TED Talks. How like TED Talks, if TED Talks do that, and it's someone suggested in the room that it could be an example of how children are raised. It's questioning a private matter, but still in a political way, like how are children raised, asking the question that perhaps isn't asked a lot, and whether it's a right way or a wrong way. and what's being done about it, and that was one that came up, and then from there we went on to protest speech. So protest speech is an expression or declaration of objection, disapproval or dissent, often in opposition to something a person is powerless to prevent or avoid. So we've said for protest it's more that a person is giving a speech, but it's not something they're in power for. Is that what you thought?
Yeah, it's sort of going against the claim, isn't it? Going against someone else's view, and trying to sort of. It's all perspective, I found.
Yeah.
Depends what crowd you're going into. If you might be protesting, like the way you're saying it to a bunch of people. Like if I was to say a lot of things to a liberal leftist about right-wing matters, it could come across as a protest speech because I'm going against what they're saying. So I sort of took it from, it's always an audience's perspective on if it's a protest speech or is it not.
Yeah, I think for me, when doing my research, I stereotyped what a protest speech was, or what I had knowledge of a protest speech.
Yeah, I got the picture of like Joe Forrest Gump. He's like, freaking no.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was sort of there was the whole.
I think it's the way again
sort
how
of.
like media depicts it. For me, a protest speech is people being like rioting in a way. I guess that's what I thought protest, or like protesting in general. I thought it was like rioting, and a protest speech was making that the rioting more.
Depends how
uplifting,
effective. It depends how effective they're like using strategies and methods.
Yeah,
to...
I think it's just how it's seen in the media is why I thought that. But like educating myself now and researching, I've discovered that protesting is just standing up for something that you've been able to say, I don't think that's right in the world, and you've had people that still don't believe that. Or
even in class, we brought it right down to its bare basics, where it was just like one teacher sitting in a room talking to students can be classified as a protest speech, because in their cast we was talking about how there's gender. Like sort of male dominance over sort of female energy, and even that counted as a political speech because it commented on a group. Yeah, and then if someone was to go against that, it would become a protest or it becomes a political speech. So it's all overlapping itself, isn't it?
Yeah, they are. I think in a way they're similar, which I didn't expect. I thought they'd be very much different. And although they do have their different aspects, they're all trying to give a message, and I think that's the main point from it. And with a rally speech, it was a mass meeting of people making a political protest or showing support for a cause. So I think a rally speech to me seems similar to a protest speech, and that was something that...
Yeah, what came up was getting people to do something. You're rallying people to do something, make them want to do something. And
it's perhaps something they hadn't thought of so far, and then building it up.
We need to change something, and then you're getting people on your side to change. Like we watched Martin Luther King. I had a dream, and sort of how he sort of built a huge audience to make change, and it's still echoing today. Like I know in the 21st century of him sort of.
It's a powerful speech that is still known.
Still known today, because he's rallied people to do something, and he was the main people.
And he made a change.
Made a change, So and that rallied people to do something, which made a change.
Yeah.
Which was sort of like a key aspect into just what rally speeches are today.
Yeah. So and then next was an informative speech. So provides information about a specific subject to an audience. The aim of an informative speech is to help your audience to understand and to remember the information you're presenting. So for us, we saw an informative speech much like how it is in lectures, like when you're being informed of new things, or when you have talks and like outside people coming in to tell you about new information and how...
Just like smoking's bad, they give you like a bunch of reasons why smoking's bad.
Like drug talks, or the bomb talks that've been spoken about.
That has been
like prevent and things like that. To me that is an informative speech, having like a lecture.
I always I always take it a step further. Like I sort of already knew what an informative speech, but how would someone use it? Like just channeling information to a certain type of people. That's the way you'd use an informative speech. Like if he was to say smoking is good, he would channel all the information of why smoking is good and why smoking is bad. So yeah, providing useful information about a subject essentially.
I think, I know it's a bit off, but we had a lecture and it was talking about drugs, but the way the lecture went about it, it wasn't so much. It still kept it was informative, but it still kept it engaging for us to watch.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't one side and this bad, don't do this, don't do that, don't do that. It's more the way he went about it was. It could happen. I'm just giving you tools and information to know your safety, and the way that was given was so it wasn't so much of a telling. It didn't feel as though a telling off. It was.
Yeah, it was sort of like. It was sort of in like. People do what they want, don't they? People, if you're going to do drugs, you're going to do drugs. It's not inaccessible. It's giving you the right information, so you make the conscious choice not to do it. Or preempting something before it starts. Like, this is what drug does.
Or you could be giving someone a wake-up call that does do it and doesn't realise the severity that's happening. Like, I think for alcohol being a sociable thing, is modern day for us. It's not realising how far it could go, and then for that keeping it to what we're talking about. But like the information behind it is still really like impacted, and it was. It was a balance in that it wasn't so one-sided that you lost your audience that you're trying to talk to, trying to inform. And I think that was a good example for us to see, like live and informative speech.
Yeah, I feel a lot of the conversation in our company just kept going around on examples.
Yeah.
And sort of adjusting our perspective on it.
Yeah.
Because I think that was the main person. Everyone had like a weird, like you said, Hollywood perception of how it is, rather than actually what like the sort of definition, sort of channeling what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like we moved on to what is a protest song?
Yeah.
What is a protest song? And essentially it is a political speech, but song. It's in a song format.
So the song that is associated with a movement for social change and have hence a part of the broader category of topical songs.
Yeah, so it comments on people's actions through song sort of gestures and stuff.
I think for that we said protest song was
Michael Jackson's Black and White.
Yeah.
That's the one.
The Christmas song, it's gone out of my head.
Oh yeah, Isn't Save the World. Free the world. That one, yeah, that one. Yeah.
But that was talking about hunger in.
That could be a rally speech song, though, isn't it? Because you're rallying an audience to.
But it was done in a song.
Yeah, it was done in a song fashion.
Like if you listen to the words, you sort of, as you're enjoying the song, you forget.
You want to do
the seriousness of what's being spoken about, and that was something that. Some people in our company hadn't realised the detail in that song of what was happening. And
political satire, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's sort of using a light tone to teach an audience.
Right now, to give it, I don't know. It's very common that songs are coming out that are processing, and you're not realising, and then you're hearing the true words behind it, like people singing about mental health in songs. You don't realise it until you like read it, where you read the lyrics, or you really invest in what's being said.
Yeah, Logic did a song where it had the title was the number for the suicide line, which is just really. It was really inspiring because it sort of gave you information, because it's like informing. Well, the title was informing you. The song was getting you to do something.
Yeah.
Like we need to make change now, which is a really nice way of reaching people.
I think they're very much like most artists, whether they realise they're doing it or not, they are in some ways doing a protest song that helps support people or realise that things are happening in the world that they're unaware of. and there is like for change. And I think for us to realise some of that stuff was really like insightful, I'd say.
Yeah, it's eye-opening. It's how much we've been influenced and we don't even do it, and to enjoy it as well, which is nice.
So then the last one we did was political performance poetry. So it's poetry that is specifically composed for or during a performance before an audience. During the 1980s, the term came into popular usage to describe poetry written or composed for performance rather than in print distribution, mostly open to improvisation. So for that, I just thought about like poetry slams, I'd say. Like that. When I heard that, my head went to American.
Yeah,
where they do.
We
like,
watched a little video on about
so that was a button poetry. It's Pinata Pages Mater. I may I've got that name wrong, but he done his poem.
Was about how he heard a man say to a woman.
It was overhearing a conversation.
Yeah, and in him it sparked him to.
It was something
like your poetry. It was social political, teaching us how humans sort of do it. It's really sort of it's really overlapping. That's the main thing I got from it, because you can watch any political speech and it have a little bit of everything.
I think the way he because that the comment that the man made on the bus, and it's the poem starts to the man on the bus, and it's about him commenting on why a woman wouldn't be raped, and then it's a whole this happened. Are you going to tell her this, like why she was raped? But the way he was able to change the atmosphere in the room that he's talking about, be able to pace himself, control what he was saying, knowing sort of triggering moments that were held, because he knew what he'd said was so impactful, and he was able to live through that, to be able to hold. It just really sounded like it meant the world to him, and he was able to say that through voice. And I think that was something with seeing political speeches I wanted to find again. Someone sounding like this truly meant everything to them, without making it too personal, because you want the professionalism to be there, to be able to. I wouldn't say personal, but to be able to talk about it.
I was reading this quote. It's like using empathy in politics is bad, and sympathy. I think sympathy in politics is good. Empathy in politics is bad because you feel for someone and you forget the overall term. So, like, you might change a law for an individual rather than and then affect the whole lot because you have empathy for that person. Sympathy for everyone or that the individual person might is more of a step back term. That's what I sort of looked at last night. It was Russell Brand debate, and that was really interesting for me. Sort of looking at how empathy and sympathy works in politics. He was like, why wouldn't you empathise with someone? It's because you miss the overall picture.
So that's it. But then it's the fact that you can. I don't know. When looking at speeches, you could make some of it personal, but not making the whole speech personal. Like you can give like a
personal story or stuff.
Give part of a personal story on why this impacts you, but the whole speech can't be like, I'm upset, this is me, I don't know if this has affected everyone else, but this is just affecting me, we need to make the change for me.
We sort of divulged in right now into sort of interview technique.
Yeah.
What do you find in technique? Because we're sort of, as we're sort of developing, it became very apparent how technique sort of come into it, how you come across before, because you don't want to be personal. Because if you're personal, they feel sorry for you. If you're sort of strong and controlled, and you use personal stuff to give yourself credit, then you're more able to be listened to.
Yeah. So in an audition scenario for like drama school,
So rounding it all off,
it's not wanting the panel to feel sorry for you.
Yeah.
It's to be able to be like, this has impacted me.
Yeah,
and
I've
this
used
is
my
why
past-
I'm where
yeah.
I am, but this doesn't define me in a sense, but it has made me look. It's always. I think that's the thing in acting. It's always.
Yeah.
It's one end or the other. It's like contradicting constantly, but you need to find. Just finding that.
You don't ever want anyone to feel sorry for you, because then they make it makes you look less than you are.
Mhm.
I say,
Mhm.
rather than when you.
If you put yourself down, then a panel will be able to
They-
see that, or an audience.
yeah.
An audience will be able to see that.
Well, people naturally strive for charisma and confidence. They're naturally attracted to charisma and confidence. So once someone's confident and know what they're saying, and they're not afraid, you instantly sort of stay with them. You're with them,
Yeah.
rather than when you're sort of feeling sorry for you and this is why, this is my life and all this. They don't want to stay with you, and it's all technique to keep people on board with you,
Mhm.
because the only thing you bring to a political speech is you
Mhm.
and your ideas,
Mhm.
and you want to be strong rather than it being taken away from you.
Oh, if we switch back to political speech, it's being strong and not weakened by something. Because if you're weakened by something, then you can see it not going in your favour. But if you're strengthened by something, that this change needs to happen, then it makes your speech so much more impactful and so much powerful. And then if we go on to our next task was we had to find a speech that was written, so we couldn't hear it how the person said it. We needed to find their written speech, and then we needed to find a video of a different speech. So for that, who did you have?
I had Ben Shapiro. He is a conservative American,
Mm-hmm.
and and the speech I did it on, he was talking to the higher nation sort of court, and he was expressing his feeling on how people nowadays have become very snowflake effect. I don't know if you've heard this. Our generation's very victim. I think victim culture come up a few times, and how victim culture is sort of making our generation weaker. So that was sort of a thing that I was a little bit passionate about. So I sort of went with what he says, because I've watched a few of his videos, and
Yeah.
he's a very strong person.
Yeah.
But you don't really like him, so.
What was that the one that you watched the video on? Or
The speech I got from,
yeah.
and I picked the same person.
Oh, you picked. So
Yeah.
you watched videos that he did, but you didn't watch that specific.
Yeah, I didn't
thing.
watch that listen. Yeah.
Okay. Well, for me, I went different. I didn't pick the same person twice. So, the speech that was written that I didn't actually see performed was Lynn Featherstone, and she's someone in politics, and she was talking about the focus on body image. So we had to find something that was somewhat personal to us, and I think
That gets us impassioned.
it gets us impassioned. So we don't want to pick a speech that is something that has never bothered us, or we couldn't have passion for because it's not our views in a way. I
Yeah, and
guess.
you don't put anything in it.
You wouldn't have any passion about it.
You see a lot. You don't fight for something you don't believe in,
Yeah, so
because it's not worth it. It's not worth it in the end. And you don't really come up with any sound.
you can't convince someone else if you can't even convince yourself.
Yeah,
That's what I.
It's like when Theresa May, she voted against leaving the what is it called? Leaving the EU.
Mhm,
And we're expecting her to fight to leave the EU,
mhm.
and it's sort of oxymoronic in some
Yeah.
ways. Sort of how if you don't pick something you're actually passionate about and you actually want, then what's the point in you actually fighting for it? Because you're gonna just muck it
And
up.
that's probably why she's lost a complete off tangent, but yeah, lost support because it's going against something you believe. But I guess in that in scenario, it's a whole different ball game, and that's
Yeah, it's like me. I'm not a racist, but me making a point why people should be racist. I physically couldn't come up with a point for that. Where if you actually talk to a white supremacist, they'd have an argument for that, wouldn't they? Not in like the most satire. It's not right.
Yeah.
It's not right. I'm not a racist or anything, but it's an extreme example of what I mean. If you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like I can.
I get what you've done has gone completely
You're completely off. Yeah, but like.
off. But I was just. I think because in my head I had such a simple example of like saying that everyone had to write with pencil, and you were the one person that wrote with pen, and then you changed. It was like, no, everyone needs to write with pencil, but you'd always committed to pen, and that's what I had. So when you just went to that, I was like, two very different examples. Anyhow,
back onto the stuff
So
that
I
won't get me in trouble in the future.
Lynn Featherstone, focus on body image, because I think body image is something that is constantly in the media, and constantly something that is being pushed down, not pushed down our throats, but for my own personal view, and that's why I think I picked it. And with Lynn, I kind of agree with what she's saying, that in the media we have like really like skinny supermodels, this, like you don't need to look this way, but this is what we're overshowing, this perfect body image. Whilst there are commercials and campaigns to be like all bodies are beautiful, but I think there still needs to be that all bodies are beautiful. And when I watch certain adverts and things, that I still see, like, it's odd, and I don't know, because this is like asking you as like a boy, like your view on things, is that with males there still is like, I don't know if you do get...
Yeah, no, I get insecure.
No, but you know what I mean, like with, especially like this is something we talked about,
but
like perfume and like aftershave, is you still get like the men spraying with Lynx. This is like Lynx spraying, all the women attract, but you still have that built man that's masculine. It's got all the muscle. But do you have like, say like with Dove have like all bodies are beautiful, and they have an array of bodies, and I still don't think that I find my body type in those campaigns, if you understand. It's big, like it's like big women.
You see
and it's like, but they're still like, I think they're all still beautiful and somewhat toned, if that makes sense. And I think, but with you, that's what I mean. I don't know with you whether it's like it's always like men, like muscly men that are all like sex appeal.
Well,
is it like?
Yeah,
normal?
It does set a standard. Like if we take it from just Marvel heroes, they're all just their all bodies are just completely just sculpted, and they of course they work really hard for it. But then it's sort of it's people you look up to and you want to be like, and it still makes you insecure about like what your body image is. Rather than, it doesn't show a true representation of how things are. If you sort of get what I'm saying, it's...
I think when you just gave that example of Marvel, I thought, again, for us trying to, in actor training, want to be actors in the industry, is our bodies are tall and we need to manipulate that. And I thought the idea of Jonah Hill, how he's able to lose weight and gain weight and manipulate his body weight to suit a role. And
thing is, he's
still in like the light of people look up to him, and he's an inspiration. So if we were ever in that situation or ever in that light, how do we impact people?
Well, I was watching this thing about how she was a theatre actress, and she was a very large woman, but she only got casted because she was a large woman. Do you know what I mean? She only got casted because she was a large woman, and when she lost the weight, she didn't get so many castings anymore, because what made her unique, what made her in her own bracket, was her. If you get what I'm saying? If I was to put on, if I was going in industry and I had my sex appeal was my forte. And then I put on loads of weight, I wouldn't expect it to be casted to play sex appeal roles. If you get what I'm saying,
but you could lose the weight again with like
training.
Chris Pratt, that you could say that Chris Pratt was like a large male, and then was able to
break it down to
lose weight and then go to do like Jurassic
Park.
Park.
Really hard. It's a really hard sort of topic that we've divulged.
But again, it's still it's a political thing.
It's a political thing. It's awkward. I think there's a lot of pressures on women mainly. think men